So we just watched Christspiracy yesterday, and you were saying that it was kind of like your first documentary of that kind.
Yeah, like my first like animal rights documentary I've probably watched. Um, and it was the footage was really intense, right? Like you just my whole life I've grown up eating meat and never really paying much attention or thinking about the way in which animals are killed. Um, and that documentary really just showed you uh, and explained just talking about how much blood and how many heads and how many hooves um, go into supporting our meat industry, um, and it and to me that was the most impactful part of the whole documentary was the reality today of 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 the mass slaughter that's occurring.
I think it's within an hour they said that we were watching the movie that it was either 1 to 3 million animals being killed.
Something just mind-numbingly large. Yeah.
There are a lot of other documentaries that are kind of more gruesome. Like that one was pretty. I mean, it wasn't taint, obviously,
Yeah.
but
Well,
it,
it
it
wasn't even the focus of the
it
documentary.
wasn't the focus at all, which is nice because they have focused on that. I mean, in
Yeah.
Conspiracy, you see the mass slaughter of the dolphins for the fishing industry. That like our dolphin populations are actually getting decimated because of fishing.
Right.
Um, but it's really interesting in Christspiracy because it shows that Jesus was vegetarian and that he wasn't eating meat and his brothers weren't eating meat, and it shows that um, he actually shut down the temple, which is where the slaughterhouse began, basically, because livestock is the exchange of this slaughter of killing animals, and the way that they described it was pretty horrendous, like having the temple be a place where you're up to your knees and your hips in blood. Um, was shocking to me because as growing up with reading the Bible and being a Christian, you don't learn that. But it makes sense. It's like where else are they gonna kill the meat, And they started to do it to make money and to fund the church. So I think it's a really good.
And it's almost this like inversion of like instead of honoring what's sacred in this holy place, the temple, you're murdering innocent life
Hmm.
and spilling this blood on sacred land.
Yeah.
And um,
And so what it gets to, spoiler alert, is that like Jesus was like killed because of his you know activism for nonviolence and for not just animal life but for human life too. I think he was standing up for peace. Um, and so it's really interesting to see these things being uncovered because a lot of our history has been muted.
and
Um,
distorted, and
yeah,
there's so many lies.
yeah. So I'm really curious to see what will come from this too, of like more people writing more literature, creating more videos, creating more information, sharing more information of the truth that's actually um, being told now in Christspiracy. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
it's really shocking. Like I'm grateful for Kip and Kim to be like doing this because like I do a lot of activism work and I go into places that need to be witnessed, like landfills and really horrific places. But you know, when I witness my friends doing it, it's like a whole nother story. And like I have been personally to the pig vigil, which was my closest encounter, and that really shifted me when I met Kip Anderson, when I met Moby last January when we're shutting down Farmer John's slaughterhouse in downtown Vernon, LA. That was horrendous. Like I'd never smelled something so horrible in my life, the pigs. And so what we were doing is like giving water to the pigs, and then we had so many different environmental organizers speak, and it was really inspiring. But it was also really horrendous, and just like I am kind of like an activist in my own embodiment, and I really support everyone that's doing this because we do need to create a world that's free of suffering. And I also want to help transmute and transform that energy, because there's so much fear and so much anger that we need to like let go of as activists, that we're holding in our own bodies, that's keeping us stagnant or blocked or full of anger and rage. And that's not what the earth wants. She wants us to be free and happy and transmute this energy and this fear. um
and and we can't make any change if we're stuck in anger and fear and just stuck, right? Like,
yeah.
we need to be flowing, and conversations need to be happening. We need to be creating, like Kip and um,
Kim.
Kim, are so beautifully doing. Um, it's through this creation that you're really making change. Like, your fear and your anger, and trying to take things down, um, through through your when you're acting from your anger, you're not advancing the mission forward
Mm-hmm.
half as much as when you're creating something like a beautiful documentary. It's like channeling that. It's learning to channel that anger.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's what
so
I've learned a lot.
it's nuanced. It's like, because that anger is always there, but so it's a little complicated.
But yeah, it's a lot. It's about transforming that anger into channeling it.
Yes, it's
That's
letting
what I'm
that.
finding now. It's like that's why I want to really support events and organizations and businesses go zero waste. Instead of being angry about all the plastic, I need to provide solutions, and that's
Yes,
kind of my mission now. And
yes,
I used to get really angry when I was picking up trash, but then I'm like, that's just making me angry and me depressed. So really transforming the way that I share
yeah,
this information, but at the same time, I do think people need to witness the truth, um, to a point that they can wake up, but then not hold that. It's like about observing, but also creating a filter to feel and not be numb, but also transmute that and shift into a solution, into
yeah. And that anger phase is like, it's just a
part of human
yeah. It's like
humanity,
it's
part of our
it's a
human
stair
journey.
step, and so if that's where you are, like, that's where you are, and that's totally fine, and all of us have been there. um and I think it's important to know that you're not going to stay there. In part of your evolution, you're going to rise above your anger and let that anger inspire your work, and your creativity, and
Mm-hmm.
and they're providing us, a really beautiful blueprint of what that looks like. Um, so yeah,
Yeah,
super grateful.
it makes me want to support more authentic plant-based companies. Like I
Absolutely.
think that we don't spend enough money, research, or energy into creating nourishing food. Like there's a lot of vegan products that are coming out there that are not healthy, that are made of canola oil, same industry. It's still pretty effed up. But I want to see more like, okay, jackfruit and mushrooms, and there's so many other plants on planet Earth that we haven't even tapped into. Like if you go to the Amazon rainforest or anywhere else in the world, that I feel like we have like just looked at a fraction of a percentage of what, for example, the Amazon actually holds for like herb medicine and plant medicine. So I want to see more people investing research into like real living foods, you know? Because I think we haven't scratched that. And beyond being plant based, we have to create food sovereignty and create food that's not made from glyphosate and causing cancer to the people that are spraying these plants, first of all, and then move beyond that and create food that's from heirloom seeds and start creating food sovereignty, because that's the only way that we can take our power back, is to stop funding the multi-billion-dollar corporations that are feeding us glyphosate and cancer and toxins. And so it's a big journey about being able to link these networks together, link permaculture farms together, link these solutions, finding these solutions on a like micro scale, how we can create community gardens everywhere, how we can feed everyone everywhere, because we're abundant, but we've blocked that, like the collective has blocked that because of these programs. and these systems that are archaic that are continuing to feed the 1%, versus let's fucking open the channel of energy, let's resource the new earth, and let's plant all of the gardens that we can possible so that we can create food sovereignty.
Yeah. And the earth is our healer, right? Like the original healer is the planet. And she's providing everything we could ever need to heal ourselves. It's all here for us. Um, and she's not asking us to slaughter animals to heal ourselves. And um, something something I also thought was super profound was how like it's ex-convicts that are working in these slaughterhouses, and it's only like the lowest of the low.
The consciousness is so horrible there.
Yeah. And people are being forced into these jobs because no sovereign person.
They said they're making 93 cents a day.
No sovereign person, it's slave labor.
Yeah.
And people are being forced into that work. And then they said in the documentary, each one of those people, they, way above the normal, the average level of alcohol use, drug use, domestic violence, and they're killing all day. They're seeing just blood and murder and slaughter all day, and you carry that with you, and that energy is coming to your plate.
That's why I have a friend that's a vegan baker and makes really amazing bread in Nevada City, Josh, and I love his perception on that, because it's like if you have someone that's slaughtering the animals in the community, I feel like they're still carrying that weight into the community.
Absolutely.
Like they're still having that heavy, dense energy on their consciousness, and
no one should be carrying that. Yeah.
Projecting it out into the community. And so I like that perception. And also back into the who's working there, these, the slave labor. I have a friend, Rob Lopez, is a vegan activist and makes mushrooms and teaches kids about like making, mushrooms in San Francisco, and has music videos of like the truths, which is really cool. He came into America working on a egg farm, and it was like horrible. And so that's when he woke up and realized that he doesn't want to do that anymore, and shifted his life and started gardening. So it's really inspiring to see all types of shifts in people. And not to say that everyone needs to go vegan. It's not like I'm in a place of non-judgment. It's just, let's actually bear witness to what is actually happening on planet Earth.
Yes.
And not cover our eyes to the truth, and not continue to perpetuate this suffering.
Yeah. You don't need to just go vegan and change everything, but you do need to open your eyes to what's going down. Mm-hmm. And that's the first step, is just being willing to look and bear witness and feel the energy of it. And as long as you do that, I think you're playing your role as a start in shifting this for the planet.
Because no one in their right mind would want to continue that suffering.
Yes, it's like self-evident.
Yeah.
That this is horrible and wrong, and it's quite undeniable.
Mm-hmm. I got to help put a moratorium on all new factory farms, so we protested in front of the Gavin Newsom's White House in Sacramento a few years ago, which is really cool, because then they actually did put the moratorium, so they stopped allowing any new factory farms to be made in California.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was really nice to see something that I put energy into actually come to fruition.
Absolutely. And that's the hope that we have, is like, I consider that like a pretty big win, right? But seeing that these conversations and documentaries like this, and then activist work really does make a difference, is the hope that we have for our children, for our future, for the health of the planet, um,
And the health of all of us.
and the health
Because
of
it's
all
like
of us.
it's us. It's like
Absolutely.
when we're not healthy, then the planet's not healthy. We are,
Yeah.
and like you just said, the healing of the planet. It's like we're right now we're connected to, by sitting on the ground. We're absorbing all this healing earth energy from the earth. So just being able to reconnect to nature also is so vital.
Yeah.
In this time and age. And
yeah.
Um,
So I've been trying out. I'm considering myself like vegan curious, and I've been eating vegan for like the last like I don't know 7 days. And what I've noticed in my experience so far is the the energy. I'm first of all I'm having so much fun just looking for vegan food. I feel like I'm contributing to something way bigger than myself by doing this. It's just been fun. Beyond that, I also have been feeling like um, there's like a level of respect uh, between people uh, that are serving the vegan food, that are provided like
you're
just
saying that every time you go into a restaurant, you feel respected.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah like
A vegan restaurant.
yeah like
Because I feel like they want you to be alive and they don't want to support any
they just see
killing.
they just see kind of what you're doing, and the energetics are just simply better, and that's been my experience.
And I just want to call that. This is an almond. This is so cool. This look like an almond.
It does.
It looks like an almond. That's so cool. It just like fell, or it's just in front of me. But and something I want
Cool.
to um very sour.
Not an almond.
Not an almond. Hashtag not an almond. And I just really want to emanate that energy out because there's a lot of dense energy in the vegan movement, and I pray and call in that everyone can like release that trauma because there's so much there. There's no way that people don't have PTSD from going into a slaughterhouse. Like it's just so horrible and intense, and you know, so I want to produce. I was asked Kip on the call yesterday, like, is he going to produce a meditation, which is cool because they're going to produce more things on their website, on their new platform for Christspiracy and like compassion for all beings. And I really want to produce, like, record professionally meditation for specifically vegans, vegan activists to allow themselves to transmute the fear and let it release into the earth and just let go of any density. And that's the message I just keep getting is release the burden. I did a Temescal 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago in Nevada City, and yeah, when after 7 rounds and then going into the water was like, let go of the burdens, so I'm just continuing to emanate that and tune in with that and allowing myself to stay present in the moment and find the magic and the synchronicity in that moment. Yeah. Thank you for being here and witnessing and watching and sharing your experience.
It's an honor to do it. Like it feels great, and it's profound. Just how you can have an impact just by not being afraid or not allowing your judgments to close your eyes and go do something else. You're just by witnessing, you're kind of doing the work, and it's this return to human being, and so it's just really beautiful to be a part of this, and I feel blessed to just be here and be connected to people like you, and people that are doing this work. It's the hope for all of us and for our kids and for us now. So yeah, it's an honor.
Awesome.